trash. Milestones, trash. What is this?
What are those?
Disgracing the uniform of James Tiberius Kirk. Are you proud of that, Scopely? Are you proud of yourselves? It's trash. It's terrible. For real, it was really bad though. Bad. Bad arc. TOS 3 is trash. It's terrible. Video time.
Fancy intro music, yeah! Woo!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where today we're going to talk about the TOS Arc in its entirety and give it a review. Now, I also want to point out real quickly that there are some good things in this arc in my opinion, and I will mention those in the video so the good Scopely overlords won't freak out and be like, oh, Deuce is just buzzing the tower again. We are going to buzz the tower only because we've spoken to people on Discord, Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, Twitters. Yes, there's even Twitters peoples out there, Twitters, all over the world who unanimously agree on certain points that just weren't very good. And in fact, you don't have to take my word for it. You can take your word for it, because in this one, first time we're doing this, we're going to continue to do this as a, I'll say regular segment, but definitely as a segment, this right here. Bam, all of your opinions, all of your complaints in a singular file right here on the channel. We put that on the Discord page, but granted, I've gone through literally thousands of comments to the YouTube channel, tons on the Facebook. I wouldn't say probably thousands on Facebook. We're not going to lie and inflate our numbers, but definitely hundreds on the Facebook side of things, just all over the place talking about it, to the point where people have been so frustrated, they're reaching out to me on Twitter, which I don't even broadcast. You had to come find me. Little creepy, but still, I get why you're frustrated. We're going to talk about that in today's video because your frustration is definitely warranted. But what I want to do first is talk about what I feel like is good. Now, good is not going to erase the bad that we'll mention. The intro happened for a reason, everybody, so let's not pretend like it didn't. But there are some good things. I will start with the least important of the good things, and that are the new frames and avatars. I know if you don't care about this, don't worry, like fast forward 45 seconds. But I do like how they portray the new officers. The Chekhov is okay, not the best design by the art team. I've given them a lot of praise the past couple weeks. The TOS Scotty, though, I like the TOS Sulu. We've even got the red shirt, which is technically part of the TOS saga. We got TOS Uhura. We've got others. And the frames have been kind of, yeah, I mean, I still really like the 60s frame. We'll forever probably use that one off and on. I really like the Doomsday frame. So there were some good things that happened in this arc, including even the Valentine's Day. Now, a lot of people are going to remember the most recent part of the arc, which is obvious. We're going to remember what happened. It's called recency bias. So there are some things that are going to be more frustrations coming out because of that recency bias. But at the same time, I feel like there's some negatives that have got to be addressed. Now, let's scroll down to the officers, which I believe are a positive in this arc. And in fact, I'd say it's a great positive in this arc. I feel like even though they haven't returned to the proper format, which is providing uncommons and commons as well as rares and epics, you still got really good officers. You got TOS Uhura here, who I feel like is one of the best cards they've released in a very long time. All those people complaining about Enterprises, well, you finally got a good counter in TOS Uhura, as well as the rest of the set, but specifically her and her buddy right behind me, Mr. Kirk. Now, TOS Kirk is not the best officer, but getting another officer that procs morale right there. We've got, what, almost a half dozen officers that proc morale now, unless we don't count Arcadi because he's pretty terrible. Spock, which I will admit, they not only didn't acknowledge Leonard Nimoy's, birthday and everything. Granted, he passed away a few years ago, one of the biggest losses of the Star Trek community ever. But then they made his officer the worst of the bunch. And I don't think anybody really debates it. The live long is great if you're defending a base, which who does that? Nobody. And then this officer is once again okay. Not really that great, honestly, because especially when you talk about epics being something used by a lot of high-level players, if you're level 50, well, you could have your critical damage without hull breach and without bonuses be 300%. So even max, this is kind of like, meh, really not that great. So I've advised most people just to avoid him, but TOS Kirk, Very useful. TOS Ahura, very useful. TOS McCoy is useful. TOS Sulu, a rare officer that gets morale going, increases that with synergy. And then the secondary ability, if it's on an explorer, once again, some bonuses there. In fact, this actually helped a little bit with, say, the Centurions and Mayflowers and things like that. This is a crew that was good in the 20s and 30s and even beyond. So I do like the crew. I feel like that's a positive for the past arc. But I will then say that the positives kind of stop there, to be completely honest. And to the point that I would say that this has been the worst arc since the ending of the Borg arc. The Borg arc started off strong and then just had a big letdown towards the end. I feel like that's what everybody is experiencing and feeling here with this one. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and bam, 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 pew, pew, pew. Start at the top, we'll work our way down. Now, I told people to like, I've deleted so many comments because there were just some that were just over and over the same thing, repeated. So I've tried to remove them so that we can then have a good idea of what's actually on the screen. Let's work through it together, why don't we? But first one, Doomsday Armadas were terrible, very low rewards. Exactly. The Doomsday Armadas were essentially the Borg Armadas redone and just as bad. Literally no better. There's no reason to really focus on those, and they tied them into the event tickets, which we'll talk about those in a minute. And I just feel like everybody is disappointed. And I know the argument Scopely is going to have, and their argument is that, well, the event reward is more about what you're doing there than what you're getting from the Armadas. Nobody cares about that. They think about what they're getting right now. What they're getting right now is a big waste of time to fly into a system and get absolutely nothing. Actually, it really takes away the incentive to help out your alliance. I'll admit I'm guilty of this. Once I completed my event, I had no incentive to go out and do these armadas, just like nobody goes out to Borg space to randomly start a Borg armada. These Doom armadas are going to be dead unless random events ask for them. Regular armadas aren't like that. Even Eclipse armadas aren't like that because you actually get stuff worth getting. Oh man, what a mind-blowing concept. Whoa! Do better, Scopely. Fail on the armadas. Horrible ticket event rewards. Now, this is a recency bias that we have to point out because the first time we did tickets, I really liked it. I did. We got tons of resources. I think it was even Ultimate DJ who put together that list that we looked at to show how much we earned. And essentially, even if you were in a top 1 alliance and you took everything you had earned Neutronium-wise, you would still not, over the course of a month, have gotten enough in the event store for you to make what you made in the last month's ticket events. That's the biggest issue. Now you're just limiting what people can do to get better and then putting it on such a long time chain that they get bored and frustrated, which means less DAU, daily active users, which means less ARPU, average revenue per user, which means less eyeballs on the game in general, which means death. And death is bad. We don't need death. We need activity, life, flourishing. Yes, more spending, more people, more wonder. Well, we don't get that with this ticket event. This ticket event made us want to gouge our eyes out. It was terrible. I'm actually struggling to stay habilimented at the moment. I'm wanting to rip my clothes asunder and scream in agony at the pain that this event brought me. Fix it. And the sad thing is the Valentine's Day version and the first version tickets were good. Yeah, I mean, you might have complained that you couldn't complete all 3 unless you were a spender, but still it wasn't that bad. Anyway, moving on to some of the next one. Level 31 players being PvP targets in an event they can't enter. That was a weird issue. Rewards didn't make it worthwhile to complete. That was most of the events of this most recent end of the arc. And remember, if the arc ends bad, it really doesn't matter how good it was before because it ended badly. Nobody cares. I know a lot of people have said event rewards, but specifically the overflow. Yes, this is a conversation I had with multiple devs going, what are you doing? You just get like 20,000 freaking neutronium. It's nothing. It's what? Because remember, you have to complete the entire set of Battle Pass rewards to get there. To remind you of what that is, we're going to hop into it right now. I apologize for this video being a little bit long, but hopefully the energy makes it worth it. Also, Leviathan missions, meh. Usually your stories are actually better. The Leviathan was okay. It was okay. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't great. But anyway, for you to complete this event right here, you had to complete the Battle Pass, which means you did it every day, and then you did extra Battle Pass events to then get that 15,000 neutronium. Wow, it's even less than I thought it was. It's pathetic. What is this? It's terrible. The reward is supposed to be, oh my gosh, you did so great. You stayed with us every single day for weeks and didn't miss a day. And this is how you reward me? This is what I get for putting forth all that time and effort into your game? The Neutronium payouts you got from the big event, the Heroic Overflow, is literally what you would have gotten from any regular day. So was it really worth going through all that extra grind? Or could you have just taken a weekend off and enjoy time with your family? Bam, there we go. Once again, if you're really going to incentivize people staying in the game, you got to give them a reason to do it. Let's hop back into some of the comments before we jump on. TOS Spock, not real useful. Agreed. If you're going to disrespect somebody, don't disrespect Leonard Nimoy. Like the GOAT, the greatest Star Trek character of all time, the one that literally everybody loves. And people are using this today in the 21st century. This thing has lasted for half a century. This is not the officer you screw up. Screw up Chekhov. Cool. I'll live with it. I'm not necessarily happy about it. But this is the original series. What started it all? Okay. Skins and weapon customizations only available via auctions. 100% agree. You can't auction everything. Like, come on. At least give the common skins away. Like the green ones. Jesus. Okay. Lack of incentives to do worm models or kill worms. It seemed they focused too much on level 30 plus. I will say TOS Arc really didn't focus on the lower levels. And some of you might go, well, why does that matter? Because the game is mostly high levels. Wrong. Actually, since last year, dozens of new servers have launched. You just had servers launch like a week and a half ago. Shout out Server 60. Brand new servers are launching. You have new people coming to the game who've never heard about it. In fact, people from my other YouTube channel watching football stuff heard about the game and just joined last week. Well, they don't know what any of this junk is. You got to be able to give them a game they can play at their level. And the Battle Pass just doesn't cater to anything in the teens and very little to the 20s. And to the point that some of these events were impossible for the 20s to complete without spending tons of resources and tons of time. There was very little balance between how everything worked. Terrible. Not enough Neutronium offered to all the juicy, expensive rewards like the Vidar and the Franklin parts. Way too much focused on pay-to-play over free-to-play. I agree. The event store should be something that comes around every 3 months that lets free-to-play make a little bit of a catch-up move to try to catch those dolphins and whales, and it works in great ways. It gives the whales more competition because, you know, believe it or not, they don't like just smacking things around with no competition. Everybody likes a little bit of a, tug of war, fun, fight each other, pew pew. Well, I mean, if you're giving people only enough to like get TOS or her to rank 3, that's not enough to really combat back. And you simply have to remember, there are going to be people who never spend a dime on your game. They've got to be able to grow and get better because they are the meat that everybody else will feast upon. And if you're one of those people, I'm sorry, but I'm just speaking the truth. Don't get mad at me. There's whales, there's dolphins, and there's krill. And if there's no krill, the whales die off. If the whales die off, there's no game. So we got to have the circle of life going, Mufasa. Just bear with me. Ticket events didn't give much. We talked about that one. See, there's so many ticket event ones that we just got to fly through. TOS Kirk, Sulu, McCoy, Scotty being pigeonholed to explorers really sucked. I can understand that point of view. I will say that as long as they update new officers to pigeonhole a battleship and pigeonhole interceptors, I won't mind as much. But for now, that's a problem. Spock being a terrible epic does suck. Even with synergy, pretty terrible. Lack of skins for people under 34. Also, why is that a thing? Like, why the Saladin, the D3, the Mayflower, the Legionnaire, why do they not have skins? Like, people want to collect this stuff. It's not that they just want to use it. Nobody went and got the ISS Jellyfish for a plus 70% hostile. Nobody cares about that. I didn't get it for that. I got it because it's the USS Constellation. I got it for the refit, the skin, the prettiness. It's literally a collector's item. Nobody cares what it does. Why do we not have stuff available for the lower levels? All right, a few more, then we're going to move on. No more domination. I'm not going to agree with that one, but I do understand. Dominations back to back to back, that's a problem. 1 day of domination, then a week grind, that's fine. Stop doing them back to back to back to back to back. That's painful. All right, just lots of stuff. And like I said, all the devs and everything are welcome in here, of course. And then you've got Major Chaco, who helped invent and develop some of our work that we did with the officer tool. Still talking about the bug crashes and issues that they have. And they went very specific about ticketed events, the event store, recruit officers, rare armada directives, which we forgot to mention that before. The rare armada directives are super, super positive. Super positive. That was a fantastic inclusion, Scopely. I don't want to be entirely negative. Most of this arc has been bad. That was great. Good job. That's hand clappable for sure. Thank you so much for that one. For those that missed it, that's this event right here. The Doomsday Machine AMS that's run 3 times. Our alliance should finish. Remember, you needed 50 people to do the Doomsday Armada Uncommon 3 days in a row. and then everybody would complete this. If your alliance didn't qualify, cool. We can gripe about it being too difficult in terms of basically 1,500 points, maybe lowering it to 1,200, being a little bit more realistic for everybody to get. That would be 40 players in each alliance, 3 days active. But still, that was great in terms of paying out the rare armadas. That's going to help a lot of younger players and lower level players get up there and get things that they didn't have. But overall, I feel like we had way too much negative in this arc as a whole for it being the original series. The debut of the original cast kind of fell a little bit flat. But what I want to do is get your thoughts and your opinions. Provide those in the comment section below. And if you agreed with the most of this premise of the video being negative, thumbs it up. If you didn't agree, tell me why, because all opinions are welcome, whether they're positive, negative, all feedback is welcome. And we got to give this to the overlords, because if they don't hear it, they don't know it, because surveys and stuff. As always, live long and prosper. Stay safe, other Space Cowboys. We'll catch you on the next one. And yeah, stay spicy.
Remember, Spock doesn't go on the Enterprise. Live long and prosper. All the best.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.